Greetings, fellow YouTuber. My name is Tim. Let's see if he remembers how to do this. Greetings, fellow YouTuber. My name is Tim. Yes, the rumors of his death have been greatly exaggerated. This is GainerWorld Live, the weekly slop fest that America has come to grow, love, and give reasons to use for their diet because, hey, let's call it, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but hey, it's a way to kill a Friday night, right? My name is Tim Gainer. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for being back with me. And I appreciate you being here after I've been gone for so long. I had to take the last 2 weeks off. This is almost third week. The last time that we spoke with one another. Boy, I tell you what, this bug that's going around is, yeah. It knocked me down. It knocked me down hard. I don't mind telling you. I don't even know. You know, it's not a flu bug. It's not a cold bug. It's just this really annoying upper respiratory thing that just lost my voice. Many people I know are cheering at that. I realize. But we are back in our places with sunshiny faces and ready to do our thing once again. And you can join in. If you're new to our little soiree here, we have this chat thing that is right there. It's right there. And lots of people popping in already to say hi. Melissa Long is in there. Hi, Melissa. Always good to see you, hon. Appreciate it. Our pal at Muse City Games, welcome back, you son of a bitch. Always good to see you again, man. Our occasional guest co-host, Chris King, is in there as well. Let me see. Operative word being to kill a Friday night. Another thing I should say, please forgive me if I suddenly censor myself, because as you can tell, I'm not completely over this thing, but we're good enough to at least get back into the saddle, thus the title for the show. The guy's always thinking, isn't he? Let's see, Chris King is in there. Everybody talking amongst themselves, and you can join them. Why don't you join them? Just come on in the chat room. If you're watching us live, yes, this is the YouTube chat room that we have up on our screen, and you can join in on all the fun. Tripstar has popped in, and where have you been? Hey, look, you're not the boss of me, pal, okay? I'm just saying. If you're watching the replay, obviously you can join us by talking to us in the comment section below. We will answer you. Eventually, we will answer you. That's the kind of people we are, because we're desperately lonely people. And our Hugs Artist Showcase, which means that the one and only Cyrus Gray has popped in to say hi to us as well. I think you put the saddle on backwards. Kind of like the riderless soldier, I hear you. Here I thought you were hooked on Aerosmith for the past few weeks, possibly in a Toxic Twins level bender. Thought about it, but I saw the Gene Autry and went, yeah, gotta do it. Been a while. Tim, says Chris, I had the same upper respiratory thing for the last 2 weeks. Man, what is up with this? What is up with this? It's like the last 2 to 3 weeks, almost everybody I know has had this thing. It just went around, and regardless even if you wear the mask, because of the whole, coronas thing, hey, listen, yeah, it's rough. It's really rough. But we're here now. Chris said, not the Rona. No, it wasn't the Rona. It was not the Rona. That much I can positively tell you. But it was just, you kind of thought about it for a second. We've kind of come to that point in our lives where, anytime you get sick, we got the coronas. Latest illness run has been no joke. Man, tell me about it. Everybody I know has gotten this thing. But yeah, we're back in it, and I kind of thought that, since I've been gone a couple of weeks, there'd been it'd be like a nice quiet thing. By the way, you two should practice safe communication. Yeah, Cyrus, I'm gonna pretend you of all people did not say that. Speaking of which, as long as we're talking about Cyrus, yes, we'll give him this shameless plug. Make sure you join him 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central, right after this show. Head over to Hugs 24/7 Radio, HUGSATWRGG. Cyrus is on the air with the Top 10 Countdown, the top 10 unsigned independent artists from around the world from the Hugs Top 200, a chart that is devised by you. That's right, I said the listener. We'll find out who number one is, and that's followed by the Shockwave, all the new tracks with Easy Day. Make sure you join him for that one. Let's see. Melissa is saying, I had the Rona back in July, vaccinated, felt like total horse crap for 2 full days, 3 weeks of constant fatigue. Wow. See, now that I didn't know about. I know that people, obviously we've heard all the stories, people that have been vaccinated and, you can still get it. It's like the flu, okay? And I've said this back in the beginning, way back there a couple of years ago. It's like a flu bug. Granted, it's a deadly flu bug. I'm not going to lie to you. But, you can vaccinate. And, pardon me. You can vaccinate and do all that stuff and still get it. It's like the flu. You get the flu bug. Asked who she had that with. Ask who she had that with. What are you talking about? She had the corona. She had the virus back in July. Cyrus, I'm going to pretend. We're just going to pass that one by. Anyway, so before we went on the air, I'm thinking to myself that this is going to be a relatively quiet night. And first off, I'm not going to be able to do any singing tonight because I'm not completely over this as of yet. There's still a little bit of rattling, a little shortness of breath, as you can tell. But hopefully next week we'll be able to do that. But we've got to move on to the task at hand because unfortunately it's looking bad. Let's just get to it. We got a bulletin. We have got a bulletin that we need to deal with here. This just came over the wires right before we went on the air. According to Variety, Gallagher. If you were alive in the 80s, you knew who Gallagher was. He was known for, I guess the best way you can put it is he was known for smashing watermelons. There's a way to make a living. But unfortunately, it's true. Gallagher, Leo Anthony Gallagher Jr., died today at the age of 76 of organ failure. This is according to his former manager, Craig Marcato. He had been in hospice care after suffering several heart attacks. This is, of course, after him doing a farewell tour back in 2019, the last smash. He was largely retired. But unfortunately, he's gone. You got to remember, he was very innovative. I got to see him live, and it was one of the neatest things in the world. You did not want to sit in the first 10 rows of a Gallagher show because stuff went flying. He had his Sledge-O-Matic, and he smashed things. In fact, people would come with like plastic tarps to cover themselves with because they knew that that stuff was going to go flying. He became a household name. A thing called An Uncensored Evening, which was the first stand-up comedy special ever to air on Showtime, which is quite something to think about. And he would make 12 more specials, countless videos, several programs for HBO. Of course, his big thing, as you see here, of course, was the Sledge-O-Matic. He would use that to smash food and other things on stage, spray it into the audience, and he was good with it too. Oh, he was good. He really was. He became famous, according to Variety, for his witty wordplay and observational comedy, much like Carlin, but just in a very tame manner. He would talk about, ways that words were misconstrued and things of that nature. Here's an interesting side note, though. I didn't know this, that in the early 90s, he had a brother, Ron, who I guess he gave permission to do shows using the Sledge-O-Matic routine on the contingency that promotional materials will clearly state that it was Ron and not Leo Gallagher, who you see here. But after a few years, Ron, he would mark himself as Gallagher 2, T-O-O. Get it? And he didn't make that clear, so his brother had to sue him, and it got kind of nasty. So Gallagher, he also, and this I didn't know about, he was in another lawsuit in the early 90s where I guess a young lady had tried to sue him for like $100,000, claiming that she was injured during one of his shows when something, I guess he hit something, with his Sledge-O-Matic and she got hurt. But the court sided with Gallagher. Later on in his career, according to Variety, he also faced accusations of racism and homophobia. Which, trust me, I was a Gallagher fan, and nothing like that could be ever further from the truth. Some venues canceled his shows, and apparently there was an episode of his WTF podcast where Mark Maron got into it with him over the conception that his act is derogatory. And Gallagher doubled down on it and eventually stormed out of his own show. So, yeah. Unfortunately, it's a very sad day. But, yeah, sorry to hear about that. Hail and farewell to Gallagher, one of the funnier people in the 80s. And he will be sorely missed. He was definitely an influence on a lot of people in comedy, that's for sure. Checking the tote board here, a lot of people. Let me see here. MU City is saying when they bury him, burn him, or dispatch him with the Super Sledge-O-Matic, which I believe they should. I think that they should just, before his casket lowers into the ground, they should just blast it with a Sledge-O-Matic and just pulverize the thing. If you're going to go big. Yeah, don't stand too close to the gravesite without wearing a poncho or splash guards. Absolutely, that's what I'm talking about. This is how he should go. Pardon me. He could aim the splash too. Oh, he could. He was good. Believe me when I tell you. Pardon me, just a moment. Believe me when I tell you. I got to see him, and of course, we were up at like first balcony. I was first row, first balcony. Mama didn't raise no fool. And there were the people down there in the first 10 rows, and they had, the Vis Queen over them and whatnot. And he's talking to them. And the next thing you know, he took that Sledge-O-Matic, boom, hit whatever was on the table and just splattered these people because they had, they were not prepared. And they were just sitting there. They didn't have it, the plastic up. And he just looked at them and went, I'm tricky. He was good. He was really good at that. And also, yes, Kevin Conroy. Unfortunately, I did not get that. I couldn't get the information in time. But yes, Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, the cartoon series, passed away at the age of 69 last week. Unfortunately, an amazing actor. The original voice of Batman. I'm Batman. You know that I'll get you, McQuaid. So yeah. So it's kind of a sad thing. Lot of people gone, and we'll get to that in a second as soon as we get past this. Chris is saying, how's your music listening been? Been on a bassist kick lately with Les Claypool, Victor Wooten, Davey 504, Charles Bertone, and Heinrich Linder. I have been rekindling my love for Les Claypool. Ever since you and I talked that one night, Chris came over to the house and we just got onto this Primus kick. And I have to tell you, I watched when they played Bonnaroo in 2011. And all the time, Shake Hands with Beef, Tommy the Cat, Jerry was a race car driver, that whole show, I just love it to death. I just really love it to death. And also, I was talking to a couple of friends of mine, and we were talking about bass players, and I mentioned Les Claypool, and I like Les Claypool. And I brought up the subject of the Lennon-Claypool delirium. Sean Lennon and Les Claypool had gotten together, formed a band, recorded a couple of albums. He hadn't heard of it. He's like, what are you talking about? Sean Lennon and Les Claypool? What? I'm like, yeah, you've got to check out these two albums. And he was just amazed by it. Just amazed by it. So, yeah, there's a lot of that going on. Let me see. Melissa and Amy City talking. I literally just listened on Holy. Such a great track. I just watched Bonnaroo. Yeah, I just watched Bonnaroo again. So epic. I'm telling you, man, that was a terrific show. Just a terrific show. I went back, actually, and I don't know how I even found this, but I had found a video of when they were on Dennis Miller, the old Dennis Miller show, and they played oh, what's that track that I love so much? Oh, and I know it if I heard it. Say, baby, do you want to lay down by my side? Say, baby, do you want to lay down? Do you? That one. John the Fisherman's an underrated classic. Yes, I agree with that completely. The whole band is an underrated classic. Tommy the Cat. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Yes, Tommy the Cat. My favorite track, and I can't remember it. So, yeah, there was that went on. Unfortunately, though, yeah, this has been a bad week. This has been a bad week for everybody. Also, speaking of music, let's segue this all. Unfortunately, we have to talk about Gallagher's passing. We're talking about music. Another passing just today, as a matter of fact. You may not know this name, but you will know it when I mention it in just a moment. Nick Turner. You don't know Nick Turner, but you do know the band that he played with. He was the saxophonist, flautist, and vocalist with a very, very pioneering band, Hawkwind. He passed away today at the age of 82, according to Ultimate Classic Rock magazine. Turner's family wrote on their Facebook page, and this is a quote, "We are very saddened to announce the passing of Nick Turner, the mighty Thunder Rider who passed away peacefully at home on Thursday morning." Okay, so this was yesterday, but it was released just today. They wrote that he's moved on to the next phase of his cosmic journey. Guided by the love of his family, friends, and fans, watch this space for his arrangements. So apparently there is going to be a memorial service for him. If you have to know Hawkwind. The Boomtown Rats guitarist Gary. Huh? I didn't know about that one. That one's just coming into me as well. But yeah, and Nick Turner formed and played in Hawkwind from 1969 to 1976. The band had a very successful run. They had 4 consecutive top 20 albums in the UK. In Search of Space. It ended up with A Warrior on the Edge of Time. He returned to the band from 1982 and 1984 on an album called Choose Your Masks. Now, you need to know about this band because there was also another famous person that was in Hawkwind in the 70s. And take a look at this picture. Take a look at that picture. There's a very famous person that also played with Nick Turner, and he always called them kindred spirits. This guy right here. Does he look familiar to you? He should. Yes, it's true. Lemmy Kilminster was in Hawkwind before he joined Motorhead. So you can see the influence that Nick had on Lemmy and Lemmy had on Nick. He also had, there were so many people that were in that particular band, but the amount of music that they made, they said we lost Lemmy's old bandmate, Nick Turner, today. Motorhead tweeted today, play some Hawkwind nice and loud, brainstorm, here we go. So, if you don't know about Hawkwind, you need to know about them because they were one of the pioneers of progressive rock. And Nick Roberts was at the forefront of it in the beginning. So hail and farewell to Nick Roberts. Very sad that we lost him as well. Bad week. But I don't even know if I want to keep going. This is like my first night back. And we got all this bummer-like news. What the heck is going on here? I leave you kids alone for 10 minutes. I leave you kids alone. And look what happens. Boomtown Rats. Gary Roberts. Apparently from the Boomtown Rats. Don't know about that one, but we'll definitely check into that story as time goes on. You got to catch up with all the deaths. I know, right? This is crazy. It's stupid. We're back to 2016. And you want me to catch up with it? Okay, Amy City, I'll catch up on it. Let's keep going. Let's talk about Jeff Cook. Jeff Cook. Country music is now officially dead. Jeff Cook, according to Deadline, the Grammy-winning founding guitarist, keyboardist, and fiddler of Alabama, one of the most successful country bands in all of recorded history. You know them, you love them, they shoved it all down your throat. Yeah. Died Tuesday at the age of 73. He had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Derek Roberts, according to Amy City, talking about the Boomtown Rats. But yeah, Jeff, what can you say about Jeff? He was there from the beginning. All the hits that Alabama, even if you didn't like country music, I don't like country music, but there's at least one Alabama song that I do like, a couple actually. Ain't It Wonderful from their first album, Forever's As Far As I'll Go was a great track. Song of the South, Jukebox in My Mind, Love in the First Degree, Mountain Music, The Closer You Get. This band just went everywhere in the 80s. They racked up 17 American Music Awards, 12 for Favorite Country Band, and won back-to-back Grammys in 82 and 83 for Best Country Performance. So, yeah, another one gone, unfortunately. Jeff Cook, gone at the age of 73. So, I don't know. Am I missing anybody? That seems to be enough. We're 23 minutes in, and we haven't even gotten to the comedy yet. This is kind of silly. So, yeah. I leave you kids alone for 5 minutes, and everybody just starts dropping like flies. Amy City, as I said that Garrick Roberts from the Boomtown Rats, gone on Sunday at the age of 72. Yeah, don't know what to tell you. Been a rough week. Robin says, glad you're doing better. As better as I can be, pal. As better as I can be. Thanks for tuning in. I certainly appreciate it. And yeah, half of the show is going to be silence because of me just muting myself so I can hack up a lung. This bug has hit everybody. And I do mean everybody. I can't think of anybody who hasn't had it. So, yeah. Who's that? I'm not on the list. I don't want to be on the list. You could mention Aaron Carter, but that's a hit or miss. You know, I did think about it. I saw the Aaron Carter story, and I gave it serious consideration. I really did. I was sitting there and I was reading the Rolling Stone article, and it was like, it's Aaron Carter. You know, and I'm sure to at least one of my viewers that's going to be extremely disrespectful. And in a way it is. But I've never been a pop music fan. I don't plan on becoming a pop music fan. And it is a shame that Aaron Carter did pass away. He was 32, died of mysterious circumstances. They still don't know what's going on with him. But yeah, and that is kind of a sad thing just the same as well. Another thing that happened, this is not a death in music, I'm happy to say. I'm really happy to say. But somebody that unfortunately we have to see retire from the road. And one of the better guitarists, and in my opinion, one of the more underrated guitarists in music, Mick Mars from Motley Crue. If you don't know his story, I gotta tell you, this guy is, until today, I thought he was bulletproof. I really did. This guy has been for years fighting a disease called, and I know I'm going to mess up this name, ankylosing spondylitis. Long story short, it's a form of arthritis that affects the spine. It's supposed to be extremely painful. But this guy got up and still did 100 to 150 shows a year playing with the Crue. And if you've ever seen the Crue perform, you know that it's a high energy show. Plus, they gave him like a 10-minute guitar solo in the middle of the show. So you've got a guy who's in an immense amount of pain, allegedly. I wouldn't know, thank God. But a guy who's in terrible, terrible pain, getting up and just rocking the house almost every night. He has decided to retire, according to Rolling Stone. The band is going to go on. In fact, John 5 from Rob Zombie's band. I think he was playing with Marilyn Manson for a little while, too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and David Lee Roth, right. He's replacing him on the road. So the rest of the Crue, in a joint statement, has said, and this is a quote, "While change is never easy, we accept Mick's decision to retire from the band due to the challenges with his health. We've watched Mick manage his disease for decades, and he has always managed it with the utmost courage and grace. To say enough is the ultimate act of courage. Mick's sound helped define Motley Crue from the minute he plugged his guitar in at our very first rehearsal together. The rest, as they say, is history. We'll continue to honor his musical legacy. We'll carry out Mick's wish and continue to tour as planned in 2023. No doubt it'll take an absolutely outstanding musician to fill Mick's shoes, and that's why we're grateful our good friend John 5 has agreed to come on board." So, yeah, it's really tough. They're supposed to be kicking off a new leg of the tour with a Def Leppard next year, with a leg of international dates in February. So, yeah, hail to Mick Mars. Like I said, probably one of the strongest people I have ever seen on a rock and roll stage. And for him to do that for so long with such a painful, debilitating thing is totally beyond me. You would see him just limp onto the stage. But the minute he plugged in, he was something to behold. So, Mick, here's to you. Godspeed, my friend. And hopefully a speedy recovery. Let's see. Dan McCafferty. Yeah, heard about that. Dan McCafferty, the age of 76, former lead singer with Nazareth, passing away. It's just like they're dropping like flies, yo. Can't do it. Can't do it. I'm not going to live through this again. It's 2016 all over again. Can't take it. Amity City is saying, happy news, Bruce Springsteen released a cover of soul covers today. I read about this, and it's kind of like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I've even toyed with the idea of doing a covers album. Hell, half my last album was covers. But when I see people like Bruce and Rod Stewart and Paul McCartney and Carlos Santana, Chicago, Styx, all these people that are doing cover songs, cover albums, I can't do it. I can't see it. I can't see it. And like I said, I have no dog in this fight because, like I said, even I have thought about doing an album of covers. But you tell me, Bruce, Mr. Born to Run, Mr. Born in the USA, Mr. Darkness at the Edge of Town doing soul covers? Rod Stewart, The Great American Songbook? Really? How many people have done that? Him, Van Morrison, McCartney? All of them sucked. I'm sorry, all of them sucked. We should start a football pool to pick the music heroes and sell the blocks. I'm telling you, man, it's getting to that point again. It's really getting to that point. We should start another Deadpool. We used to do that back in the day. In fact, there is one online where you can pick who is the next celebrity to pass away. Is it morbid? Yes. Is it fun? You betcha. Nobody had their money, but see, again, this is one of those years. Nobody had their money on Betty White, now did they? Nah, I don't think so. Nobody had their money on Jerry Lee Lewis, did they? Nah, I don't think so. Yeah, did that happen while I was gone? Jerry Lee Lewis passing away? Do you have a link? I will get one. I will get one. In fact, Amity City, if I'm not mistaken, I think you're the one that turned me on to that. If you have that link, that would be very helpful right about now because people are asking about it. So, I tell you what, we're going to take a break right about here. I need to rest my voice for just a second. And we'll come back and we'll get into the most unlikely person to come back to a movie role. You're never going to guess who's back in the movies. And we'll even, maybe we'll even kick up another course of What's Your Sign. You never know. Hang on. We'll be right back. We'll check it out.
While you're inside, wage a war on yourself. The damage has been done. So call the truce, stand and deliver. This battle can still be won. But first lay down your arms. So take a look around across the field of dreams both lost and found. There's no use crying for casualties you lost within the fight. The wounded lie waiting for relief that's just inside. Within your struggle for redemption, there's a block along the way. And it belongs to those who still believe. You still have much to say. Please
Don't delay, do it today. Pick up a copy of Lay Down Your Arms, which is still in the top 30 of the Hugs Top 200, and that's based upon you guys. Thank you very much. As well as the B-side, which is making its way up the chart. Nifty cover that I did of The Birds, I'll Feel a Whole Lot Better, which I'm very proud of, by the way. So, yeah. Please pick that up on all the streaming services and at timgainer.com. Certainly would appreciate it. So, yeah, a lot of things going on. Again, thank you very much for hanging with me. My apologies for having to take a couple of weeks off. As you can tell, I'm still a little froggy. But this bug, I tell you what. And I know that I'm kind of a broken record on this. But it took me by surprise. And a lot of people, first off, thank you to everybody that, called and hey, Tim, are you okay? Make sure you do this, tea and honey, chamomile, everything like that. A lot of people were concerned about that, and I certainly do appreciate it. It's just a simple case. As a matter of fact, one friend was like, well, listen, you had the heart surgery, so you got to be a little bit more careful. You're not as young as you used to be. And believe me, I get that. When this thing lasts 3 weeks, there's a problem. So we'll be doing, we're still doing the lemon juice and all that good fun stuff. So I'm just getting ready for the show. And I read this and I could not believe what I was reading. And if you are a fan of this person, you're going to be kind of freaked out. Okay, before the break, we were talking about if we should start a Deadpool for music people and other celebrities, because this is just turning into another bad year for music people and celebrities. A lot of celebrity deaths. And Cyrus Gray has popped in and said, I want Adam Ant if that square is open. I'd say Billy Idol, but he's one of those three that'll be here when the world ends. Yeah, Billy Idol, Cockroaches, and Cher. Possibly Madonna if she keeps doing, the whole Botox thing. Which, by the way, have you seen her lately? Whew. Madge, lay off the collagen on. Seriously, you're starting to look like, Leopard Girl. The girl that wanted to be like a panther and shit. Yeah. She's not looking good. A lot of people starting to actually complain about her pictures on Instagram. So. And speaking of weird people in show business, as I was saying, I was reading this. Keith Richards. No, Keith Richards is going to... Keith will live forever. Keith is going to be looking down on his perch with Willie Nelson, doing a blunt, just going, look at these idiots. So, yeah, no, Keith will definitely be around. Keith's going to outlive all of us. But as I was saying, I was getting ready for the show today, and I read this, and I went, this has got to be impossible. This has got to be a joke. But it's not. After about 20 years, Cyrus says Keith Richards died in 1977, but his body hasn't figured that out yet. Yeah, nobody's ever told him. Keith died of a heroin overdose in 1976, but just nobody ever bothered to tell him. Celebrity death betting. Okay. Amu City is now saying celebrity death betting falls under novelty betting category. Haven't found a valid site or an app that allows that just yet. But if I remember correctly, there used to be a site where you wouldn't just bet on it. You would just kind of go, okay, who's next? You know what I'm saying? I mean, there wasn't any like legitimate wagering or anything like that. But you would keep an eye out on who it might be and who the odds were. So as I was saying, after 20 years of not being in the public eye, according to Deadline, there's going to be a new indie horror thriller from Scott Goldberg that is going to have a special co-star. And that co-star is, get ready for this, Shelley Duvall. When was the last time you heard that name in a movie credit? Yes, that Shelley Duvall. From The Shining, from Popeye, you know, the whole Dr. Phil thing, yeah. The movie is also going to star Edward Furlong, Chico Mendes, and Dee Wallace. The name of the movie, again, is The Forest Hills, which follows a disturbed man who is tormented by nightmarish visions after enduring head trauma while camping, it says here, in the Catskills Mountains. Shelley is going to play the mother of the mentally and emotionally disturbed Rico, played by Mendes, who serves as his inner voice. Scott Hansen is producing it, along with Dresnick Goldberg Productions and Digital Thunderdome Studios. Goldberg said in an interview, we're huge fans of The Shining, and it's honestly one of my favorite horror movies of all time. It's up there with John Carpenter's Halloween and George Romero's Day of the Dead, with the dark tones they delivered in their movies, along with the perfect scores and elements that make them my personal favorites. Shelley contributed to The Shining as being an absolute masterpiece by giving her all and performing in a way that really showcased that fear and horror of a mother in isolation. If you remember correctly, if you remember the stories, if you've ever heard any of the stories about what Shelley went through in The Shining, she went through some stuff, y'all. Amy City is saying about this particular picture, oh my God, is that her? I think I saw her buying cat food at Walmart the other day. Yeah, you might want to remember, and even Chris brought it up in the chat here, that she hasn't been seen before she went off the rails. She had this picture that you see here is part of an interview that she did with Deadline, or not with Deadline, but the Hollywood Reporter back last year. That she how can I say this? She wasn't right. And in November of 2016, as a matter of fact, she was in an interview with Dr. Phil. Yeah. And boy, did that open up a can of worms. She opened up about her struggles with mental illness. She just came right out and said, I'm very sick. I need help. And they kind of turned her into the poster child for mental illness. And Dr. Phil kind of got thrown under the bus for that one. But you can't take away from the fact that this woman had an amazing career in the movies. I mean, like I said, it was The Shining, Popeye, as you see here, with the late, great Robin Williams. She works with everybody from Robert Altman to Woody Allen to Stanley Kubrick, Terry Gilliam. I mean, just this list of movies. Brewster McCloud, McCabe and Mrs. Miller, Thieves Like Us, Nashville, Annie Hall, Three Women, Time Bandits, Roxanne, Portrait of a Lady. She won a Peabody Award. She won the Cannes Film Festival's prize for Best Actress. She had 2 Emmy nominations, a BAFTA nomination. I mean, she really, she cleaned up in Hollywood before she just dropped out completely. And again, as I said, she popped in after Dr. Phil, around Dr. Phil. And she's always talked about what happened during The Shining. That it really, if you haven't heard the story, it's really sad. Kubrick and people like Jack Nicholson really pushed her to the limit. Apparently, it was a 56-week shoot, and she was required to cry virtually every day. And I think that's really what kind of had what had an effect on her. There's got to be more to that story. Actually, I don't know, man. She says in this interview in 2021 with the Hollywood Reporter, after a while, your body rebels. It says, stop doing this to me. I don't want to cry every day. Sometimes just that thought alone would make me cry. To wake up on a Monday morning early and realize you have to cry all day because it's scheduled. She was asked if Stanley Kubrick was deliberately cruel to her in order to enhance her performance. And she just said, and again, this is a quote from Deadline, he's got that streak in him. He definitely has that, but I think mostly because people have been that way to him at some time in the past. The last time anybody saw her, she appeared alongside of Shirley Jones and Cloris Leachman and Louise Fletcher. Her last movie, Manna from Heaven. And then she announced her retirement. And then we saw her on Dr. Phil. And now she's back. She's back. That's the picture of her at the height of her fame. I have to give you fair warning. This is how she looks today, and this is the way she looks in the movie. The years have not been kind to Shelley. But I think that's justified, to be honest with you. It's unclear if she's working with any representatives, according to Deadline. But yeah, the movie is going to be the movie is in production right now, and we'll see what comes out of it. But it's good to see her back. You know, I really want to see what she's going to do. Because she as an actress, she's terrific. But I guess Kubrick kind of messed her up. Even Amy City saying Kubrick was a notorious bastard as a director, but he was brilliant at his craft. That's a fact. That's a fact. I mean, you can't knock that. Maybe the guy was just a little crazy in his technique, but to which Cyrus replies, "So is Phil Spector, but the end results, wow." Yeah, but I don't remember Stanley Kubrick killing anybody. You know? He wasn't cruel, but Nicholson kept in character, and nobody told her that's what he was doing. Okay. Yeah, and I can see that too, because Nicholson came from that whole Juilliard method kind of thing during that time. So the fear she expressed in The Shining was very real and psychologically pushed her over the edge. Yeah. Oh, everybody knew that, because a lot of times she didn't know what was happening on set. So when he came crashing through the door, yeah, what you see there is genuine. It's organic. Ain't no acting there. That's enough to send anyone over the edge. Yeah. The story that I heard was that he would just push the cast 20, 22 hours a day, maybe get 2 hours, 3 hours sleep, not tell anybody what's going on, just be a complete, as Amy said, said, a complete bastage to the crew, the cast. Yeah, even Cyrus is saying, imagine it. Here's Johnny every time you turn around. I hear, honey, I am home. So, yeah. And what a, I'm not sure. Popeye came after The Shining? I'm pretty sure it did. Talk about a 360. Man. To go from playing some crazy man's wife to playing Olive Oil. Of course, then again, when you stop and think about it, it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah, it did. Okay, that's what I thought. Chris is going to let us in. Here's the funny part. Let's pause for a minute now while Chris tells us what the funny part is about all this. Chris? We'll just wait now with a hail and hearty chorus of...
What the f***?
So, yeah. She was told that Jack was retyping the script for The Shining. Oh, is that when he was writing in that one scene? All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Which I thought would be funny as hell, if that's the case. So when she saw, so when she saw the all work and no play thing, that'd send me over the edge too. Then again, you have to stop and think that, hey, you're getting paid for this. It's all a method thing, right? Makes sense to me. So yeah, I'm really intrigued as to see what exactly is going to happen with that movie. And I'm also intrigued to see. I haven't seen it yet. I do have a message. I do have a question. In fact, I wanted to put a poll out that while I was down with my little cough bug, cold bug, whatever it was that I had. Did you guys see Halloween Ends? The new Halloween movie? I've yet to see it. I'm going to try to see it sometime this weekend. And only because, number one, I'm a fan of the franchise. And number two, I have not heard a good thing about this movie yet. And if this is going to be the final Halloween movie, I just want to know what you guys think. Because, I have not seen it yet. I'm going to watch it this weekend and see what's going on. Chris says, I want to put a pull-out tube that's just called... I want to put a pull-out tube, but that's called indecent exposure, and I'll wind up in jail. Hey-o! I don't know if I told you, but my penis was in the Guinness Book of World Records. Then the librarian told me to stop it and take it out. But I want to tell you. Yes, he's back to normal. Can you tell? And even little sister Judy's in there from the CO. Oh yeah, always good to see you, Jude. Have you caught this thing yet? Has anybody, Melissa liked that one. Okay, that's cool. Well, Melissa's easy to please. But I'm kidding. I'm joking. I have to fill 7 minutes. Work with me here. Normally I'd be singing or playing, but I can't do that still. I can't do that yet. I can tell you about one thing that's going to happen. And that's going to start on December 1st. My pet project, Classic Christmas, will be back on the airwaves. That's what she said. Hello. How about a joke? I just told a joke. Either your internet's extremely slow or maybe you... Hey! But be that as it may, yeah, Classic Christmas, ClassicChristmas.com, one C in the middle. ClassicChristmas.com is coming back December 1st. It is my favorite, and we'll be getting into this in the coming weeks. It is my favorite project of the year. Long story short, what happened was somebody asked me to, and this was back in the days of when everybody had just realized that they could burn their vinyl collection onto CD. And that was all the rage. And somebody had asked me, I have some Christmas records. Can you please convert some albums onto CD? And I went, sure, I can do that. 168 Christmas albums later. That's not an exaggeration. And a lot of them were all the classics. The Bing Crosby, the Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, Nat King Cole, Henry Mancini, all that good stuff. And it also caused me to rekindle my love for a lot of the compilation albums. Those of you that are old enough to remember when you could go to like Grant's Department Store or Goodyear or something like that, and you could get these Christmas compilation albums and pay like, anywhere between 50 cents and $1.99 for these albums. I started collecting those again just because they bring back memories. And what has happened is we are going to play those original classics, those vinyl classics. We have restored them, brought them back to life, and we're going to be playing those back to back from December 1st through Christmas Day. On the internet, check your local listings, ClassicChristmas.com, Classic Christmas, one C in the middle, ClassicChristmas.com. Check that out. Cyrus Gray, I got to run. Yesterday, someone told me a joke. Oh, God. How do you keep a jackass in suspense? I'll tell you that tomorrow. Got to go. They're meeting me at 9 p.m. Don't want to meet that. And yes, indeed. You make sure that you go and check out my good friend Cyrus Gray over at Hugs 24/7 Radio, HUGSATWRGG.com. The top 10 countdown, the top 10 independent, unsigned artists from around the world, based upon the Hugs 200 chart, top 200 chart, that we keep to heaven to hold for you to love. Go check him out. He starts at right after this show at 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central, and we're all looking forward to that. Classic Christmas starts on December 1st. ClassicChristmas.com. Please sign up for that. Later, Gator. Thanks. Hey, not a problem. We'll see you there, my friend. We'll be talking to you later. And thanks to everybody that's kind of hung with me over the last couple of weeks. Yeah, I mean, I know I've been harping on this half the show, but it was kind of a weird situation, and I'm not completely over it yet. Hopefully I'll be over it next week. And we'll be back in our places with sunshiny faces. At least I hope so, anyway. And, yeah, we'll be a little bit more organized at the same time. I know. Let's not get crazy about it. But yeah, we'll do all that. And, by the way, if you do go to Hugs 24/7 Radio real quick, I do also want to mention that the Hugs Awards are coming up, and you have your chance to nominate your favorite artists for that prestigious award for like Male Artist of the Year, Female Artist of the Year, Band of the Year. I'm not going to tell you not to vote for Tim Gainer, but if you do, I'm sure you're a fine, fine human being. Just saying. That's going to do it from here. Thank you so much. I certainly do appreciate it. It's good to be back. I appreciate you being back here with me at the same time. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Head on over to Hugs 24/7 Radio. The Hugs Top 10 Countdown coming up right after this. We'll be back here next week. As always, if you like this, do me a favor. Hit the bell, like, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff, because that really does help me in a big way. In other words, if you like it, hey, you know what to do. We'll be back next week. We out. Bye.